If your GCSE mock exams are coming up soon, then the way you revise will make all the difference. This isn't about cramming everything or studying 5 hours a day. It's about using the right methods so you get better marks, remember more, and walk into the exam hall into your exams feeling ready. Now, as a science tutor and qualified teacher of over a decade, I've helped hundreds of students raise their grades using simple, effective revision strategies that work without the overwhelm. Now, before you start revising, you do need to prepare for revision, and this includes identifying your knowledge gaps so you can hone in on those topics. And I've covered all of that in another video called How to Prepare for GCSE Marks. I'll be sure to link that at the top of the screen or perhaps in the description down below. So check out that video to learn how to prepare for your GCSE marks. And if you want me to do a separate video breaking down the benefits of mocks, so i.e. why mocks are important, just comment benefits below and I'll get that made for you. But in this video, I want to dive straight into how you should revise for your mocks for maximum benefit. Okay, so the first thing you've got to learn the material. But how you learn that material makes all the difference. You want to revise in a way that helps you deeply understand and recall the information. And that means being able to regurgitate the information, but in your own words. So this is where you start to use those active revision methods that I'm sure you've learned about. So things like blurting, which is just saying out the information out loud to yourself, saying out what you've revised out loud to yourself to check that you understand it. Writing from memory, which is also another form of blurting, but it's just writing it out rather than saying out aloud. Drawing diagrams or processes of steps. This is a very underestimated method, but it works wonders. So studies show that we retain 80% visual information versus 20% written information. So if you think about that stats, drawing something is going to really help for your memory. Teaching someone else, that is the ultimate test of your understanding, if you can actually teach it to somebody else without looking at your book. And another active revision method that you can use is flashcards, but when done properly, right? You need to know how to use flashcards properly. And if you do want me to do a video on how to use flashcards as well, just comment down below, just write flashcards and I'll get that done. So these methods that I've talked about, yes, they may feel uncomfortable. Yes, they take effort, but that is why they are known as active revision methods, right? You need to kind of actively use your brain a little bit, but they're exactly what trains your brain to retain and recall the information, especially under pressure. So whenever you learn a topic or a concept, be sure to get into the habit of using one of those methods that I've just mentioned just now. And the best part is they will not take you very long at all. So here's an example. You want to revise electrolysis. Spend 10 minutes drawing out the entire electrolytic cell from memory, walking yourself through the process step by step, what's happening. That is going to serve you way better than 30 minutes, reading your books and trying to highlight some key information, trying to highlight some information from the textbook. When you revise using the right method, you can spend less time and get bigger results. So step one then is to use active learning to lock in your knowledge. Now, if you want to learn my top 3 tips on how to study effectively for maths and science, check out my free guide that I will put in the description down below. It's called 3 Simple Steps to Achieve Top Grades in GCSE Maths and Science. Okay, so on to step 2 on how to revise for GCSE MOCKS. And this is where you're going to test and apply your knowledge. So now it's time to test what you've learned. Otherwise, you wouldn't know if it actually sticks. And this is where past papers come in. But of course, you're not going to revise every past papers. You're not going to do every past papers. You're going to focus only on the topics you've identified as your weaker areas. And if you want to know how to identify your weaker areas, go and check my video on how to prepare for your GCSE mocks. It would help you with that. Once you've identified your weaker areas, you then want to practice questions only or mostly on these topics, because it would help you solidify your understanding, and it would also help you develop your exam technique. So essentially, you'll be getting better at practicing exam questions. As you are doing these questions, naturally, your exam technique skills will develop. And as part of developing your exam technique skills, it is also a great way to develop your timing, because that's all interlinked with your exam technique skill. And the rule of thumb is a 1 mark question equates to 1 minute. That means if you're doing a 5 mark question, give yourself 5 minutes, get it done within that time minutes frame of mind, and move on. So practicing exam questions is really essential, because it helps to build exam technique, it builds timing, and it builds your confidence all at the same time. And students who practice exam questions, who practice application, are the ones who perform best, because they train their brain under exam pressure. Okay, step 3 on how to revise for your GCSE mocks is to mark properly. Now, this is the part that most students skip, but if you're aiming for top grades, then it's probably actually the most crucial part. So don't just check your answers, look for what examiners want, so i.e. how the marks are awarded. So this includes showing your full marks, especially in maths or maths in science. Now, so say for instance, you might write the correct answer, which is great. So let's just say that that question is 3 marks. You write the correct answer, then you get your 3 marks. Fantastic. But if you made a mistake in your working out and you didn't show step by step you're working out, and you wrote the incorrect answer, then you're going to lose marks. And so that's why it's important that you actually show you're working out, because if your the first two ways that you've worked it out is the right way, then you'll still pick up some marks. You'll still pick up 2 marks out of 3 marks, for instance. Things like keywords and misconceptions. So again, look for these things in your mark scheme. So like electrons and ions, students get that mixed up all the time. So saying something like ionic compounds conduct electricity when molten or dissolved because of free ions, not free electrons, right? You might think, oh yeah, I kind of get it, and I'm writing it down. But if you're not writing the correct things, you're going to lose marks. And you're going to wonder, well, I thought I understood that. Why am I losing marks? Also command words. So how much more are they expecting you to say for, say, describe, via versus explain? Or looking at mark weighing, how much do they, well, what's needed for, say, 1 mark versus a 4 mark question, and so on. There's so much to do with the mark scheme. So really learn the mark scheme and check how those marks are awarded, because that would help you just push your grades up that little bit more. So when you understand how marks are awarded, you start writing answers in the way that examiners want to see them. And that's how top students get full marks. So if you do, say, times 2 6 marks exam questions, you don't need more than 10 minutes to go through the mark scheme. So with revision, which I talked about earlier in this video, practicing exam paper question, which I talked about earlier in this video, and mark scheme, that's no more than 30 minutes in total. So hopefully you can see that when you are revising for a subject on a daily basis, You do not need more than 30 minutes to revise. So a quick summary then of the best way to revise is those 3 steps, which is your active recall. So I said things like blurting, drawing, explaining, flashcards, and so on and so forth. Testing and applying your knowledge using exam practice questions. Do not miss exam practice questions because that's just what you're going to get tested on. So out of everything you do at school, that's the one thing that you need to excel at. So testing and applying with practice paper question. And thirdly, using the mark scheme. So you can think of this as the 10-10-10 method. 10 minutes to learn, 10 minutes to practice, 10 minutes to mark. And if you do that and have that structure when you are revising, it's really going to take you a long way. So just 30 minutes a day, that's it. If you follow the method consistently, you'll just be shocked at how much progress you will make. Having a structure really helps. Okay, so now that you've got your revision strategy in place, the next step is knowing what to focus on. What are some of those key topics to focus on? So check out this next video coming up, 3 GCSE Maths topics that you should revise to help you boost your grades. And that would help you boost your grades during your mock exam. All right, I hope this video has been helpful and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.